Hello again. In this video, I'm going to present for loops. I'm only going to talk about these briefly because in R, there are often sort of ways to accomplish the same thing that are maybe easier, but we should probably at least see the concept. So for loops are a way to automate repetitive tasks. We can do the same thing to a bunch of values, one after another. And the syntax is for I in something, and then in curly brackets, what to do to I. And this is, if you haven't seen for loops before in Python or whatever, this is probably totally inscrutable, but I think we can make it scrutable. So if I type 1:6, that creates a vector. The integers from 1 to 6. I'm going to take take all the integers between 1 and 6 and square them using a for loop, which is not the best way of doing this, but it's just an example. So for all the numbers in this vector, um, let's square the number and print it. Run that code, and here we go. We took all of the numbers in the vector, we squared and printed them. Inside for loops, you need that print. If I didn't have the print, it wouldn't display an output. Normally in R, you don't need to explicitly say to print, but inside for loops, you do. Of course, printing something is just visually displaying it. So after I print these numbers, I don't have a way to get at them. I could use this for loop to create a new vector. Let me call it squares. I'm going to initialize squares. So what I've done is create a vector of zeros. You see 6 zeros. And now what I can do is I'll get this for loop back again. For I in 1 to 6, I'm going to take the ith element in squares. Sorry, my English is kind of failing me. For I in 1 to 6, for every number between 1 to 6, I'm going to square it. And then 1 squared, I'm going to put in the first place. 2 squared, I'm going to put in the second place, and so on. So when I'm all done, squares will be the vector of squares. This is the idea of the for loop. The thing about for loops is that R has a lot of tools for doing this basic type of thing that are probably both faster and easier. Like in R, I can just take a vector and square it. You've got to throw it in parentheses. But if I do this, I get the vector of squares. There's no need to mess around with a for loop here. So R has a lot of functions that just work like this, that we can just apply to every element of a collection. So we don't need to use a for loop to do that. R also provides, or maybe I should say the tidyverse provides, we'll get to packages a little later, but R also provides something called purrr, which often does this sort of thing in a very nice, very intuitive way. So for loops are more important in other languages than they are in R. And I'm not saying never use a for loop, but I do think it's fair to say that if you're using a for loop, you might pause and consider whether it's really necessary or whether there might not be a better way to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.